Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to talk about pull priorities, but from a new player perspective. And I like to do these videos about once a month alongside my other pull priority video. And that's because new players generally have a slightly different priority, at least immediately in the near term, versus veteran players, as you may want to pull on banners that are generally not going to be as good for a veteran player, but will be able to help that new player get established and strong right off the bat. And so that's what we're going to go ahead and get right into. And one of the nice things is we are actually currently on a good banner with the Machikane Fukukataru speed card just dropping yesterday for you to actually be able to reroll on. And so this is going to be a banner that can get you a very good speed card ready to go for going into Make a New Track. It'll be one of the meta ones that you can kind of use, and that gives you a lot of flexibility on the card that you borrow alongside the other cards that you'll use when it comes to building your Uma. Now, I would make my reroll goal, depending on if you're willing to spend money or not, I would try and shoot for, at a minimum, limit break 2 on this card. And if you can spend like $20 to $30, you will be able to max limit break this card when the anniversary starts, getting you a very good speed card for that entire scenario, and will be good in future scenarios for you as well. Because you're not really going to have as strong of an option right at this point, because you've already missed the boat on what'll be the meta speed card, Kita-san Black, for a little while. And so this is going to be a good starting point for that. And from there, after you do your rerolls and you get it to limit break 2 at a minimum, if you can get limit break 3 or are willing to put in the time, that's even better, because then you can just use the free anniversary selector to just give yourself outright MLB. And if you're willing to spend money, using the other one to maybe top up another card that you end up getting a lot of dupes with. And from this point, after you do your rerolls here, you're going to have quite a few options depending on the direction you want to kind of go with your account going forward. And that's kind of depending on maybe what's your favorite strategy, or if you have like an Oshi Uma or whatnot. And so immediately after, so basically our next banner, we're going to be having a free for all, like no rate up Uma banner that will include every single Uma that has released prior to it. If you have a very specific one that you want in the game that is already released, that's like your Oshi or a favorite, you should or could pull on this banner to go all the way to 200 pulls, or just get really lucky and get them early, and then pity them, as well as get a bunch of others to kind of flesh out your account with other Umas to build for the different champions meetings. I personally would actually skip this one because you have a lot of good options coming up, but that is always an option. And the reason I would say skip this one is because there's going to be a very free-to-play / new player-friendly Uma coming up in the form of Mihono Bourbon Valentines. I feel like this is going to be your best banner to pull on. Not only will you still be able to get a wide variety of other Umas, as you lose your 50/50s, or I think they're 75 or 25/75s, or if you get really lucky, you just get her right off the bat and can pull on more stuff later. But she basically has everything in her kit that you need to build a strong frontrunner, which means you have less of a need of strong support cards to kind of get you those skills / parents and grandparents, and you can get yourself immediately competitive with her going into Make a New Track as a very solid frontrunner. So that's why I would skip this personally, and then just pull on this banner. Get yourself a copy of Mihono Bourbon, potentially Asian Flash Valentines, which is another good speed debuffer for mediums, and that should hopefully get yourself set up a little bit on Umas. And then from that point, the next big banner I think a new player should pull on that'll be very strong, and this is one that even veteran players are potentially pulling on, is going to be the Fine Motion Kawakami Princess speed card. And this is going to actually be, if you missed the boat on re-rolling on the Speed Fukukataru card that's currently available, this is going to be what I would consider the next best banner to re-roll on. And actually, I would say better to a certain extent, and that is because Fine Motion is going to be a meta wit card that's going to last quite a while. You could, if you re-rolled on this one, or you dump all your pulls that you've currently saved up as a new player starting today, if you can get it to like limit break 2, limit break 3, this is a potential one that you could use your anniversary selectors on to MLB. And now you have a very strong wit card to pair alongside your Fukukataru card. And then you have another one that you can borrow that'll be really strong to then also pair with hopefully a decent selection of SR cards you've got at this point. I know it's going to be getting a little bit harder as a new player to kind of flesh out your SR cards as the pool of them is getting larger and larger. And so just getting outright MLB SR cards is going to be much tougher the farther we get into this game. And so just having some decent, ready to go SSRs will really help balance you on that. The other nice thing I like about this banner to dump a bunch of pulls on the kind of flesh out your account is Kawakami Princess. This is not really a good speed card for a veteran player, but someone who's brand new who just doesn't have anything. If you, for some reason, while you're working on trying to get fine motions, just end up MLBing this card or getting close to it, it is a very solid speed stack stick that I feel like you can use in Make a New Track. It has like one of the more important things, which is race bonus, which Make a New Track wants you to have as much as possible. So right there, it's already good. Decent friendship bonus for your stat stick, has a speed training, a power bonus. So really, really good speed stat stick in that aspect. Now, lower special priority, which is kind of a negative, as well as basically useless skills. But it is going to be what gets you just right off the bat going into Make a New Track and having that. And like I said, if you pulled from Mihono Bourbon Valentine, she already has pretty much all the skills needed built in. So it's going to be less important or on you on your support cards, and you can kind of get away with the stat sticks. And while it's not the main card you're pulling for, it's an okay one you're pairing with Fine Motion. And then the nice thing about heavily pulling on this one as well is even if you don't MLB it, even if you get like Limit Break 1 or Limit Break 2, this one will be rerunning in approximately, I'd say, 5 months-ish, 5-6 months-ish. It'll be towards the beginning of the scenario after Make a New Track, where you can then MLB it at that point, alongside it being paired with another really good speed card. And so this is the dump banner, or if you're wanting to wait, a very good reroll banner. And then from that point, you should be fairly set to kind of, to me, start following already at this point what the pull priorities for other players are going to be. You would, to me, you just skip this card outright. You reroll on the Fuku speed card right now. She'll be your main Make a New Track speed card. You don't need NTR. And I'm not going to tell you to, I'm not even going to tell veteran free-to-plays to gamble for the Admire Vega one, just because it can royally screw you, being that you can't pity it. So you want to skip that one, and then just kind of from that point, make a decision on where you want to go with your account. You can start specializing in specific things. Just kind of look at my other pull priority video that kind of goes farther up here into everything. And you'll be kind of set at this point. It's to me, fairly straightforward. That's your best options right now. Reroll on the Speed Fukukataru card. If for some reason you're watching this video after it's fallen off, the next best one's going to be this Fine Motion Kawakami Princess card, getting you 2 decent cards to start right off the bat with, alongside getting yourself a copy of Mihono Bourbon Valentines. And then from that point, you have Kita-san Black, a very good long front runner. And then you just kind of go from there and just hopefully save up a bunch of pulls. You should be decently competitive and Make a New Track because it's very friendly, as long as you have the race bonus in your support cards to getting the stats. And you could potentially win some champions meetings, even being new right now in Make a New Track because of that. And then you just kind of save up for the big ones that have already been mentioned. I don't want to go in too far into this for a new player video, as the longer you've been in the game, the more you converge onto just kind of following my other priority pull list, which I just did yesterday. But yeah, that's pretty much it for new players. I think it's pretty straightforward here. There's really nothing else too crazy you're going to want to pull on in this area. And yeah, you're basically just waiting until Make a New Track at this point, because Unity Cup, you're just too new. You can try and build an Uma for the sprint. If you're starting right now, I mean, that's nothing but a just giant gamble anyway. You'll have lower stats, but if you win the gamble, you can still win those ones. Or you can even do the Sprint League B, and you'll actually probably be very competitive there, because it's nothing but gamble, and actually potentially make the finals even as a brand new player. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. And if you like my content, you could like, comment, subscribe. It really helps. And thanks for watching.